The night was colder than most. Rain slicked the highway, turning it into a trap of black glass. Ethan Cole, a struggling single dad who worked double shifts as a mechanic, was driving home after picking up his daughter from her grandmother's house. His beat-up truck rattled across the old suspension bridge, headlights cutting through the downpour. Then he saw it just ahead. A sleek black car skidded, its tires screaming as it slammed into the guardrail. Sparks showered the night. With a horrible groan, the barrier bent. The car dangled halfway over the edge, rocking against the pull of the river below. Without thinking, Ethan pulled over and yelled for his daughter to stay inside. He sprinted through the storm. Through the shattered glass he saw her, a woman in her 30s. Panic in her eyes, gripping the steering wheel like it was her last tether to life. Her designer clothes and diamond earrings screamed money, but right then she looked like anyone else, terrified. "Don't move," Ethan shouted. He climbed onto the crumbling rail, hooked his arm through the twisted steel, and reached for her. "Give me your hand." I can't," she stammered, her voice breaking. "You can?" Ethan said firmly, his voice steady like he was speaking to his daughter. "Trust me, I've got you." With one desperate lunge, she grabbed him. The car shifted, tilting further. Metal screeched. For a breathless second, it seemed both of them would go over, but with every ounce of strength, Ethan yanked her out, tumbling backwards onto the rain-slick pavement as the car slipped free and plunged into the river below with a thunderous splash. She lay trembling, her chest heaving. Ethan barely had time to catch his breath when his daughter ran up, crying, "Daddy!" The woman turned her head and saw the little girl clutching her father's soaked shirt, and something shifted in her expression: shock, guilt, and then realization. Because this wasn't just any woman. This was Victoria Hale, one of the wealthiest businesswomen in the city. The same CEO who, just last week, had publicly humiliated Ethan when he'd come to her company's office, begging for a job to support his daughter. Now, she was alive. Because of him. The bridge roared with approaching sirens. But Victoria's eyes never left Ethan. She stood slowly, rain washing the makeup from her face, and whispered words that stunned him, words that would soon shock everyone watching the news the next day. "Ethan Cole, from this night forward, you and your daughter will never struggle again. I owe you more than my life. I owe you my future." The storm came out of nowhere, lashing the city with sheets of rain. Ethan Cole gripped the wheel of his old pickup, trying to ignore the groan of the engine. His daughter Lily sat in the passenger seat, fast asleep, with her favorite stuffed bunny tucked under her arm. He was bone-tired. 2 jobs weren't enough to cover the rent and Lily's school expenses, but he refused to complain. She was all he had left after his wife's passing, and Ethan had sworn never to let her down. The bridge loomed ahead, its steel frame shrouded in mist and rain. Then, in the corner of his eye, he caught it, a sleek black luxury car spinning. Out of control. The vehicle slammed the guardrail, teetering over the edge. Its headlights dangled like 2 terrified eyes staring down into the dark river. "Daddy!" Lily screamed as Ethan slammed on the brakes. "Stay in the truck, Lily," Ethan barked, his voice sharper than he intended. He threw the door open and sprinted into the storm. The car's driver was trapped inside, a woman, pale and wide-eyed, pounding on the window. Ethan wrenched the door open, metal grinding in protest. "Give me your hand," he shouted over the wind. "I can't. If I move, the car will go," she cried. Her diamond earrings glinted in the flickering light. Ethan braced himself against the twisted steel of the guardrail. "Listen to me. If you don't move now, you won't get another chance. Look at me, just look at me." Her gaze locked onto his, and something in his calm, determined expression cut through her panic. With trembling fingers, she reached. The car lurched downward. For a heartbeat, Ethan thought they were both finished. But he roared, pulling her out with a surge of strength, both of them tumbling onto the wet pavement just as the car broke free. It plunged into the river with a deafening crash, swallowed by darkness. The woman lay gasping, her body shaking uncontrollably. Ethan brushed the rain from his eyes and checked her pulse. Alive, Daddy. Lily's small voice pierced the storm. She ran to them, clutching her bunny tight. Ethan gathered her close, relief washing over him. The woman sat up slowly, staring at the child, then at Ethan. Recognition dawned on her, breath caught. You, she whispered. Ethan blinked. Do I know you? She swallowed hard. Victoria Hale. Ethan froze. Victoria Hale, the billionaire CEO. The same woman who had coldly dismissed him last week when he'd begged for a janitorial job at her company, just to put food on the table. He remembered her exact words. We don't hire charity cases. Try somewhere more fitting for a man in your situation. Now, she was drenched, trembling, and alive only because he had risked his life for her. Funny world, Ethan muttered bitterly. He stood, lifting Lily into his arms. Stay here. The police will be here any minute. He turned to leave. Wait. Victoria's voice cracked through the rain. Ethan, please. Don't walk away. Ethan stopped, but didn't turn. Why not? You made it clear what you think of me. Victoria's throat tightened. For once, words failed her. She had built her empire on cold logic, never emotion. But looking at the man who had just saved her life, holding his daughter like the world's most precious treasure, something inside her shifted by the time the sirens arrived. Victoria Hale had already made a decision that would shock her board of directors, the press, and the entire city. 2 days later, cameras flashed as she stood at a podium with Ethan at her side. This man, Victoria said, her voice strong but raw, reminded me tonight that wealth means nothing if you forget your humanity. He saved my life. More importantly, he showed me what true strength looks like, a father's love for his child. From this day forward, Ethan Cole is not only employed at Hale Enterprises, he will lead our new foundation, dedicated to single parents who struggle, the way he once did. Reporters gasped. Executives exchanged stunned glances, but Ethan didn't care about any of that. He just glanced down at Lily, who beamed up at him proudly, for the first time in years. Ethan felt the weight of struggle lift from his shoulders, and for Victoria Hale, the woman who once had everything, she realized she had almost lost it all, until a struggling single dad had reminded her what truly mattered.